If you've been following my prison bus conversion videos, you might have noticed early on that I put out a mini comic about my bus conversion odyssey, and I finally got around to putting together another volume of the mini comic, and I sent out a bunch of them. If there's anyone else who wants a mini comic, just message me an address and I'll send one your way. I also had to do just a little bit of maintenance on the bus. My last joyride ended in a little bit of an overheating situation where the bus got a bit hot. I was low on coolant, so I added some more coolant, and I think that might help me out. I could have airlock. If I do, that will be something to wrestle with in the future. But the main thing I was working on this time was the bed area. So the back of the bus has been reserved for a bed all along, and I just haven't built it because I like going in and out that back door. But I finally did some measurements and sat down, made a plan, and got to cutting on some wood. Now this first 2x4 is notched out in some crazy ways just because it needed to fit up against my framing with some wires and water pipes and waistlines and whatnot. This one is attached with fasteners. All the other loads for the bed are on 2x4s themselves. So you can see, like in the center member, the wood is resting on wood. That's just a better way to frame. It means your load isn't on your fasteners, but with that first guy, I just had to put the load on the fasteners. Now with 2 rows of support set up on the bed, I went ahead and got working on the third one, which is also going to serve as a wall, and it's going to have this kind of portal or small sliding door right in the middle. I wanted to build some egress into this so that you're not boxed out in the back of the bus. You could still get out the back. And I just wanted to show you guys this old switch. It's the vestige from the old days when the prison bus had a guard seat in the back and the guard had a dedicated heater. I pulled the seat and the heater, but I just couldn't bring myself to pull the switch. In the end, this switch ended up kind of under the bed, so it's pretty much buried, but I just think it's kind of cool, so I ended up leaving it. So with the bed kind of framed in, the actual structure of it, I wanted to panel up my walls and get this area as finished as possible. On one side of the bed, I've got 110 shore power and a light running off of that. And then on the other side, I've got a 12 volt light, which could run off my battery. So once I had the panel ready to go, I attached my light. You'll notice that this is one of the bulletproof lights that I built. I think it's the last one that I have. And I just attached to the panel while installing it. I know that's a little bit unconventional, but it's just the way I built this light. It sort of needs to be hardwired into the wall. And then my other panel has a 12 volt switch built into it for a 12 volt LED light. Here's a look at the switch, and I made the housing out of an old rubber tub lid. That allowed me to mount the switch in place and kind of like wire it up before screwing the switch plate into the wall. So with the switch mount mounted to the wall, I realized I had something I really kind of like the look of. It's a little bit DIY and oblong and just kind of cool. So I posted a picture of it to Instagram and I got to work on the back wall. You can see it's kind of framed in, but I wanted to add a few more framing members and build the surround for that portal, that kind of egress door I've been talking about. You might have noticed along the way that all these kind of curved ceilings have a little air gap, and none of those pieces of wood are just totally perfect. Don't worry, later on I have a plan to come around and clean all those guys up with some flexible trim. Curved wood maybe, or just some kind of flexible gasket material that's paintable or stainable or something like that. Anyway, I will tune that up in the future. So next up was sketching out a plan for my headboard. This headboard was going to do three things pretty much. Number one, be something to lean against. Number two, offer some storage. And number three, be a housing for that 12-volt LED light, which runs off my leisure battery. Here's a look at the LED light I'm putting in on the top. This is another free sample that I got a while back and just haven't had a chance to use yet. It's kind of cool. It's a big old bank of lights and you can also cut it down if you want to. So if that's too much light, I can just shrink the bank. And it also has adhesive on the back, so I can just stick it to the top of the headboard and call it done. Note that when I cut this headboard, you'll see this in a second, I cut the headboard a little bit big. That way it serves as a diffuser for that light, so the light isn't, blinding you in the eye. Instead, it's kind of bouncing off the back of the headboard and the light will go upwards, so it should be good to read to. Alright, so it's time to put the slats down on the bed, finally. I did think for a while about going with a solid base to this bed because it would be something I could lift up to access the storage underneath. But I really love the way slats give your mattress airflow, and I just think that's healthy in a bus that might have some moisture in it in the long run. So I went with slats, and I will have storage boxes underneath at some point in the future. Alright, it is hot out here and getting late, so I'm going to call it for tonight. The bed area is all roughed in. I've got the headboard storage area, I've got all the slats in, the wall surround, and the back portal. I don't have the door on there yet, but I'm still sort of thinking about what I want to do with that. I'm thinking about reusing some metal from the back of some of the seats that I saved, so we'll see what that looks like in the end. Obviously the back bed area needs a few finishing touches before I'm ready to bring my mattress out here. It needs some stain, it needs some finish work, a few latches and things like that, but it is almost done. The best thing for me is that this forced me to push a little bit on the electrical. So I've got a 110 shore power light on this side, and then I've got my 12-volt system on this side, so it's all kind of wired up, and that's nice too. Alright, thank you for checking out another video in my prison bus conversion series. It's kind of crazy, like totally crazy for me to think that I'm sitting here on this bed looking at my shower, my kitchen and everything on what used to be a prison bus where there was a nasty toilet back here and cages and whatnot. So it really has been transformed, and I'm just kind of just grooving on that. It's just really cool. Thanks for checking out the video. Hit me with a like if you liked the video. Comments down below are the best thing for me. Comment and I can respond, or you guys talk to each other or whatever. I just think the comments on YouTube are pretty sweet. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already. I post images that kind of lead up to each one of these videos. And then I've got a small blog over on Patreon where you can check out some of my ideas, my philosophy and whatever about building. Alright, see you in the next build video.